Okay, welcome to the developers meeting on Sunday the 23rd of April. And we'll begin today with a rundown of the software development of the last couple of weeks and where we are right now, so that newcomers have an idea where we are and developers can easily come to the latest point. So, and I would like to ask Fabio if you can give us an overview where we are right now, and also maybe end with something where we're going to.
Sure. Hello, everyone. So first of all, I've been discussing with Ido for the last week. We're trying to organize, and so we'll be doing some more. We'll be doing some overall organization of our source code. So what that means is that we'll be organizing our GitHub account. So we'll be creating the projects and creating the folders and the permissions, so we can have everyone on board quickly, and we have the right permissions for people to go to, and the right way of working. That's what me and Ido, and also Mike, but Mike is also away because he's doing building things. So we're working together. So we're trying to organize everything so we can have one source code for everyone to work in. Okay, that's our main goal for right now. So we can organize everything, so we can get together and put an alpha version soon. Because right now we have several different repositories, and they are divided and organized in different ways. And we want to make everything in the same place and everything, so we can manage it and we can release something. So we have a build process and everything like this. Okay, that's our first goal. But our current state of development is that I'm in charge myself of doing a version for the Orange Pi, so we can work in, and that's working. It's not ideal right now. I will be still working on that, so it will be a streamlined version of an image for the Orange Pi, so you can just download it, install it, and everything will work. Okay, but right now it does work, but it's not as streamlined and as nice as I want it to be. And we still have some bugs from the Orange Pi itself, from the version that the Orange Pi manufacturer releases. And I hope they will fix that soon. So as soon as they release a new version, I release a new image version of the Sky360 for the Orange Pi itself. Then we also have the version that the guys in the UI and the GUI are working in, and that's they are working in the GUI with OpenMCT. They are doing a great job there, and that's only part of the UI that they are working in, and they are working right now to integrate everything with Rust 2 and the nodes and everything like this. And we also have the simple tracker repository, simple tracker Rust 2 repository. That's our main repository for the Rust 2 nodes. It was mainly built by Mike, and with some help by myself and some others. But we will also be working on that to reorganize everything to make it simpler and to make it more configurable, so people can start nodes, the nodes they want to use for the queue or for the camera or for the simulation. We'll make it easier to go through on that repository right now, because it started, as the name implies, it started as a simple tracker, and then it grew and it grew, and right now it's a very complex tracker. And so we want to make it a little bit simpler. We want to organize it a little bit better in different folders and different ways, so people can just jump in and start the nodes in Rust 2 they want to use, and then to make it to be much more simpler for people to use and just work on what they want to use. And besides that, we also have the Sky360lib. That's the C++ version of some of the algorithms that we use on the simple tracker, like the background sweep tractor, the camera itself. The camera, we have a class there that encompasses all the camera access for the QHI camera. So we have all the features that the camera has. So it's working great. And that's it. That's it about everything that we have right now. We also have some other repositories that we're experimenting, and some other stuff that a lot of other people are working in. But our main goal right now is this: so we'll have a simple, just one repository. I know we'll talk about it in the future, and we're trying to go like Google does. We have one repository with everything divided in folders, so we can have access. People will have different accesses, and we will have a few admins that can approve the pull requests and things like this. We'll be putting together a document for everyone to approve on the next meeting. So me and Ido, we are working on a document. So we have a proposal for everyone for the next meeting. So it's just a proposal. Of course, we can change everything because just an idea. But we'll be having a proposal for how we will be working in the software side. Okay.
Cool.
And that includes all the repositories and all the pull requests and all the the ways of developing. So we'll be putting maybe some CI stuff there to check for code and to check for code smells and things like this. And in the future, we'll be having something more robust. And that's it.
Okay. Thank you, Fabio. One question, Fabio. Last time it was said that you're also going to prepare, or IDO is going to prepare, a default ROS2 node that can just, so that on GitHub you can find that let's say a default node that you can just take and put your software in to create a new node. Did I get that right?
Yeah. No, I did. I had to leave on the last meeting a little bit early, so
okay.
I don't remember that. But anyway, that's doable.
Mm-hmm.
That's doable. We can. I would talk to Ido if you can produce at least one repository that's just a template for you to start in Python or in C++. So we can work on that. Yeah.
Cool.
I would talk to him. We'll talk to him, and then we can produce a template for C++ node or for Rust node or for Python node. We figure out what we need.
Cool. Hey, Matti, by the way. Okay, so you mentioned a lot of details and you mentioned also UI, and I see Rebecca right now here. Any update, and John, any update from the UI side at the moment? Anyone responding from the UI team?
Can you hear me? Yeah, okay.
Okay.
So from my personal side, I have some bad news. I didn't get to work on this last week, and I will not be able to participate in progressing the UI next week.
Okay.
So I cannot give any input there.
Okay, thank you. No worries. Any other updates for now at the moment?
I have only a tiny update. We were talking about this.
I don't have any updates either right now.
Sorry.
Hopefully next week.
Okay, thank you, Rebecca.
You're welcome.
Jannik, go ahead.
Sorry. I thought we were finished with the GUI stuff.
No worries.
So I have only a tiny update. So we were talking about this Metar stuff, the cloud-based hide.
Yeah.
And I today wrote a little script that allows us to get this data basically. So I put it on this on my GitHub. So and I can, if you're interested, I can show you the script very quickly.
Yeah. Okay. Can you also tell me about the granularity? What is the detail?
Yeah. Okay. I share my screen quickly, and let's see. It should be this one. Can you see my
Yes.
my screen? Okay, so it's coming from a website. It's called aviationweather.gov. Can you see that? Is it large enough?
No, not really. Can you make it bigger?
Okay, how do I increase the font?
No, you can use control and your mouse wheel.
I just tried that, but nothing happens.
I think
Okay.
it's control plus equals on VS Code.
Control plus? Yeah,
Oh,
okay.
yeah. Much better.
Okay, thanks. So I'm using this website, aviationweather.gov, and you can make requests to that website. I think it's managed by NOAA. I'm not very sure. ChatGPT helped me with that today, so that kind of supercharged all that development here. And so it has basic weather data, and it comes from, as we said last time, it comes from airports. So it's always, you can define a rectangle, and it just searches for the next airport station within that rectangle. This is just a rectangle around Berlin. And then you can request not only cloud base height, but also other parameters that I haven't put in because our other API is covering that basically. But we could also request other data such as temperature and visibility and these kind of things, and precipitation. So I just can run it quickly, and it's very simple right now. It just over Berlin. It seems there are no clouds right now, which is unfortunate. But it prints out. You can see it here. This around noon today there were clouds, and then you get the cloud base height, and if sometimes there's more than one height, so if there are 2 or 3 cloud layers, it shows like 2 or 3 heights, so it's a list basically.
On what latitudes did you use in this code?
It's this one. It's just like
52.
just around.
Switch 52 to 48. Must be around
let's
my
do that.
place.
Let's do that.
Yeah, and we have clouds here.
Okay. Well, I can make it much larger, and then we will find something at least, I guess. Then the list will be much bigger. Or okay, well, I can do that maybe. Okay, let's try again. There's something. Okay. So this is the cloud base height then in meter. You can also change that if you want. So if you don't write SI here, then you get imperial units. But now you have a cloud base at 3 kilometers basically, and it says that it is a few clouds. So you have different cloud cover classifications here, like clear sky, few clouds, scattered, and then broken and overcast.
This service also delivers other parameters you said that we do not use. For example, wind directions, I assume.
Yeah, you can ask for wind direction, wind speed, these kinds of things.
Temperature, dew point, something like this?
Yeah, also. Yeah. But that is already covered with the other API that we are using. And the other API is more local. So I thought, we don't really need that because it's always just for the next airport, let's say. And I think that's the best we can get. So, for example, with David's code, we could check if there are clouds at all over the station. And if there are clouds, we can check if we want how high this cloud layer is, because it's probably the same cloud cover type, let's say on the airport, like at the station itself, if it's not like more than 50 kilometers away or something like that, should be the same cloud cover type, and then the estimate should be fine. And that would be just to basically avoid a situation where the user looks outside and there's a clear sky and there are maybe scattered clouds above the airport, and then it just confuses the user, you know, in that case. So we could double check with David codes if there are clouds at all, and then we can give that information basically.
Okay, so because you mean that, let's say, the cell of a 50-kilometer diameter is, let's say, homogeneous in cloud layer. There's not much change. Changes are in bigger scales.
Yeah, but yes, but it might be the case that you have scattered clouds above the airport, and then you have no clouds in some cases above the station. That could be, but if there are clouds on both places, it's probably the same cloud type, because it's like usually these are large scale weather systems, and so if you have clouds above the airport and clouds above the station, it should be the same cloud type, and it should be around the same height.
And if you have several airports data coming in, because you define a rectangle.
Yes.
What happens when several data is coming in? Do you create
I'm not sure how it's
an average, or?
That is a good question. I think it's probably just I don't know about the sequence in the list, but I think it's just listed then all the values that it gets basically from all airports. It just appears in this list, and I'm not sure about the sequence. I don't think it's getting averaged or something like that.
You get just one
I could check for that.
So if they find, let's say, in your square you have 4 airports, just assume 4 airports, you get 4 cloud layers, but you get from the call from the API only one value.
No, you will get the values from all airports. I'm pretty sure
4.
about that.
Okay.
And then it also always states the latitude and longitude from the airport station.
Yeah.
So what we could do actually is we just, for example, we could average it, or we could just simply say we take the values from the closest airport. So I could do that. That would be the most simple solution, I guess. Always just take the closest station. But we could also average it. I mean, I can.
I mean, the closest
basically evaluate different strategies.
The closest would be the first choice, I assume. But what if, let's say, you're exactly in the center point of a circle where they are aligned in a circle?
Well, you're right.
But then at the okay.
Well, we find a solution for that. I think the most pragmatic solution for the start would be to just choose the station that is the closest, or the airport that is closest. But we can, of course, optimize that. But I think for the alpha, it's good enough. I would say.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So basically, the idea why we came up with searching for a solution, which you demonstrated right now, is that when in the fisheye view we see objects moving, and we see them moving below a cloud layer, and we know, for example, the distance to the cloud layer, and we can even derive speed of the cloud layer because we know its distance and know how much angular change happens. And if, let's say, we have weather data with it, we can correlate that and also find out whether there are objects not moving. So if they're moving, if they're stationary, for example, and not moving with the wind like balloons do. So that's basically the idea that came up during these discussions.
Yeah. So that was just a very short update. So I guess I'm gonna stop sharing my screen now. All right.
Super. Thanks, Jannik. Any questions? No? No questions? Okay. Hey.
I have a question. I have a question about this site and where does it work? Is it just for European countries or for Germany or for all the countries, or how does it work? If we need to introduce some other sites for some countries or not?
Yes, I think it's for all airports globally. But I can check that. So if you're interested in one particular country, I can check if I get data.
I'm not in one particular country. I'm I'm interested in the situation if we need to introduce a list of sites to use when we mount the station somewhere, or we can use just the one solution and use it everywhere. I think it's an interesting question for everybody here. If we need to write down this list, or we can use one site and that's the solution, that's okay for us.
I think so. For this data, I think it works globally. We just have to, I mean, we can basically automatically construct this latitude, longitude rectangle around the station. So if the user provides a lat and long, we can say, okay, we search in within a radius of, I don't know, 50 kilometers for the next airport. And if we don't find anything, we increase to 100 kilometers or something like that. And then we just take the info from the next airport.
Yeah.
And of course, there might be some cases where we have a station which is extremely rural and there's no airport nearby, then then we have to deal with that. I mean, then you might not get any cloud data, let's say.
But still, you can increase your requests.
Yeah, you can, of course. You can always increase. But at some point, it doesn't make sense anymore because the airport is too far away and you don't have a correlation anymore, probably.
When you're in the middle of the Sahara and your next is in Marrakesh.
You can always construct cases where, your solution breaks down, probably. So, but in usual case, it should be fine, I would say.
Yeah, point of information. Aviationweather.gov is run by NOAA, and it does appear to be worldwide.
Okay.
I just pulled it up here real quick and at a fast glance. So it looks like it will, in fact, give you, information for all over the world. It's got some funky zoning thing in there that I'm not quite clear on, but it does look like it would be available no matter where you are in the world. And given the way the FAA likes to work and NOAA and that sort of thing, they do like to look worldwide anyway. So that should be a viable one, and possibly local meteorologic offices in different countries might be able to give slightly better, or that information from those local offices could be getting consolidated into it. But just, bit of information there.
Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you.
So this metadata is actually for aviationists, for pilots, so that when they start, they can make a flight plan and know what the weather situation will be and calculate how much wind do they have and calculating their petrol consumption and stuff. So I think every country where of international flight is taking place, that service is certainly working. I can remember that we did this in, I think, 2002, where we made K4K AT. That's a website where we collected all this metadata from all global stations. We did this on a, I think, half an hour interval, and we got all countries besides the ones that the USA decided to be in conflict with. So these countries are then blocked from that service. So I can assume that if NOAA is running the business, that countries that are blocked by the US are then out of so we won't have data from them. Like in Ukraine, for example, at the moment, you won't get data.
Yeah.
They have a beta version of this site.
No, it's public. It's civil aviation only. That's for civilians.
Yeah, I share my screen.
What are you sharing?
This is beta version on aviationweather.gov.
Okay.
And they have for application.
Yeah, the Metar reports.
What I currently use is the Metar.
Yeah.
But I noticed that they have also more than that.
Oh, okay.
But I'm not sure about it.
You get the airport information. You get the geo coordinate from the airport, for example, and its height, and you can then triangulate in between. And yeah, but no worries. I mean, for the alpha version, it's good if we have that feature. I think it's nice, and also to see it in the user interface. Whether the software will then automatically react upon that, it's a different question that is not discussed not yet at all. At least we produce the data and view it, and let's see it in the user interface. That would be nice to have.
Yeah.
Hi there, this is Cam. Has anyone looked at the Windy API? Because when I've looked into weather before, because certain rain patterns cause interference for certain types of satellites, we've used the Windy API, and it provides really well. You can go to their website and just look by the UI to see what you'll get in the different layers.
Yeah. So I used Windy for sailing, and I think this is for sailing and surfing. It's the most people using Windy, right?
Correct, but they have clouds as well.
They have clouds as well? Okay.
Okay.
So you can make queries on their API and at no cost?
Yeah, they have a free version of their point forecast API that does 500 requests per day.
Okay, good.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously you can buy to get a real key and get almost unlimited.
Nice.
So Jannik, your API, are there any costs involved?
It's basically the same. You always get some free amount of requests, and I don't have the number off the top of my head.
Okay.
But I guess it's similar, I guess.
So what we did is, in 2000 something, there was the same situation. We're limited in calls, and we couldn't make it live for every aviationist. So the thing is that we collected all data in a 1.5 hour interval from all stations. And I think I can remember we got it by an FTP service. So my question to Jannik is, what do you think? Could we, I mean, we had this discussion before about weather data, that we take in an interval but collect the whole planet, but in a larger interval, so that it will still fit within the low cost or the zero cost version of the API.
Yeah, it should be no problem. The only thing was when we wanted to construct a weather map, and then it was more tricky to stay below the threshold, let's say, for the requests. And I had a plan for that, how to download all the weather tiles basically for the whole globe within for each hour, I think. And that was just within the free plan. It was just about possible to do that. I got stuck a little bit actually by looking at how to put all the tiles together again into a map. So I was procrastinating a little bit on that part, to be honest. But we have a strategy to download all the tiles. Yeah.
Okay, so the question is, do we use these tiles and to make a big map that we can then, I don't know, pan and zoom and pan around? Was that the idea, or
we that was the idea initially, but that's been a while ago, and my current state, current opinion was that we just use the point data basically for the station itself, like temperature, wind, and so on, and don't use kind of a weather map, because currently I know we wanted to have a map, and with all the aviation data, for example, we could think, of course, about adding a layer on that map that includes weather data, but then we would need to.
If this is in regard to the GUI, we already have that planned out. We're going to have one single map, and then we'll go ahead and overlay all the information on top of it. So that's kind of already planned out.
Okay. So then, we would need to, if we want to include the weather data like we planned before, we have to just find a solution for how to knit basically all the tiles together in the right manner, basically. And I think, I mean, there is a solution, obviously. We just need to find it.
Okay, can you give us an idea of the coordinate system used in this tiles, and what projection is used?
That is more than a year ago that I looked at that, so I will need to dig a little bit.
Okay, it's not important now, and this discussion went into this direction, but it's of no importance at the moment. Another question would be, so you're talking about imagery data, so something, when you talk about the map and the tiles, you're talking about imagery data or discrete figures?
Yeah, it's basically what download are images.
Images.
And then there was a color code provided with it, or a type of a legend that you can also include then, so that you know which colors represent which temperature, for example, or cloudiness, something like that. Yeah.
But do you see any chance that we get discrete figures besides imagery?
We definitely have discrete figures for point data. So for the station itself, we can request all the data we want, like temperature, like relative humidity, and so on. And if you want to have discrete data on the map itself, we could easily do that by just requesting this type of data for several points around the station, and just overlay that data on the map. That would be no problem.
And the user interface could even paint that in a certain color, for example, and then make gradients to the next point.
That would be possible too, yes.
Like a heat map.
That would be a different strategy. So.
Yeah. Okay, but this is of no interest for now. We said we postponed it anyways into the future, And yeah, Jannik, whenever you've got time to.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, one topic I want to discuss with you because David raised it. Welcome, David. David? Yeah. Hey. Hey, David, you raised an idea, and I hope I got it right. The question is, or the idea is, to create a paper, or several papers, and to let's say, bring in all IP that is created, or thoughts that are created, or things are developed into a paper to be published. Am I right in saying this, David, or can you please clarify?
No, that's what I was thinking. I just thought there's lots of cool innovation going on in Sky360. So I thought, how could contributing members capitalize on that? And one way would be to publish their work in research papers, whether that's a conference, whether that's a journal, or whether it's just on somewhere like Medium. So it gives a way of getting the cool work that people are doing out there, and engages the scientific community. So I had an idea for maybe one paper. It's kind of pinched from the Galileo project, but you have a really big data set you captured with your camera in Vienna. So there's maybe something you could do with that, like a sky survey. So we've got lots and lots of hours of video data running through day and night. I thought it'd be quite cool to analyze that data properly and see what objects are most common or most infrequently seen. I mean, it's only one location we've got, unfortunately. So, but it might be like a nice complementary study to what Galileo are doing. I think they're doing a sky survey. Just an idea.
Yeah, got it. So this topic goes actually into several directions. So one direction, which is an important one, is the IP that is created and how we proceed with that. We for now we only record and put it on YouTube just for security reasons, so that no one else can say we copied something from their organization or whatever. And we do not inflict patents, of course. But the thing is, if there's data, what you just said, David, that can be processed, and maybe we can find out, or how we process it, we can make a paper about it, of course, but also about the outcome of it. Let's say, where we find migrating birds, for example. Is that the direction you were thinking of?
Yeah, I think there could be interesting things that come out of the analysis. I mean, you could publish potential on have a different angle, take different angles on, depending on what comes out of it. But yeah, it'd just be nice to look at that data set in more detail. And perhaps something will come out of it. I mean, I did have other ideas for potential publications. I mean, there's been a lot of work done on background subtraction, for example, optimizing background subtraction. There's been work published on doing this in the maritime environment, so at sea, I think our particular use of background subtraction is quite unique. It's a sky-facing camera. Most of the stuff seems to be on, facing out towards roads and things like that. But yeah, it's another paper idea. I mean, there's probably unique stuff all around Sky360 that people are doing. Maybe thought that might be a nice way to capitalize on it by publishing it somewhere. With the last project, SkyHub, I did a poster presentation at a conference on the audio sensor work I did, which was quite nice because I had a kind of side project in environmental sound anyway, so it tied in with my own academic research. But it was good to get feedback from other people outside of the project, you know.
I'd say that, first of all, I have to say that I think the idea is great. I think we shall enable this kind of work and cooperation, for example. Maybe your work, David, is in tandem with Mike's work, for example, so that you two create a paper that Mike is not in the academics, but you are, so that you can then publish with Mike as a co-author, for example. And we can do this with all kind of topics. So the call is now, if you think you have a topic that is Sky360 related, of course, not your private topics, and you want to write a paper, and I think we have helping hands and people who can publish that. If you're not a publisher by yourself already. So what about any ideas coming from you? What do you think about it? Is this a bad idea, a good idea?
I guess the bad thing is it can detract from the work that people are doing. I mean, we've only got a limited amount of time to put into the project. I suppose it could eat into that time. So.
As a remark, I do like the idea, although there is the distraction from current efforts, but I'm also not quite sure how I could help generate a paper like that. So, something I've never done before, but I think it is a good idea. I'm just not sure about timing and then exactly what I can do to aid and abet. So just a remark out of left field.
Yeah, so the idea is we have scientists here on our teams, and they are used to publish papers. There's your time you are contributing here, and your knowledge and your IP that is developed maybe only by yourself or even in discussions with others. So the basic idea of creating papers, I think it's a great one. It's a great opportunity for doing so. But yes, I'm totally with you that it is a lot of work to do, and I think it is of that importance when work is done. Of course, you make your notes and your whatever spreads you create or docs you create along the line, but then when you're done with the work, then it's probably the best time to create a paper for that. So it would not infringe your current working process or developing process. It's just something that at the end of a long string of work, of things that are developed, then there's an opportunity to also put that in a real paper that goes to the scientific peer reviews, for example. I think it's important because I cannot emphasize too much that what we do here, I mean, meeting with all you guys, I love it, and working and testing and experimenting and developing. But at the end, all our work is only as good as the data is that we are creating. If we create rubbish, we had a nice time together, but then our whole system is rubbish, okay? So we are certainly judged by the quality of the outcome. And the outcome is judged mostly, I hope, by academics, not by the masses of people. But I think hire the critics of academics, people who can really process that data. I wouldn't say academics only, sorry. There are a lot of intelligent, most of the intelligent people on this planet are not academics, but I want to say the scientific method to be applied in an appropriate way. So that's my concern here. And I think it's important that we create with these papers also credibility in doing so that we become a kind of an instance of also a paper creation entity and not only a data creating entity. I hope this was not too confusing babbling in English here. Okay, thanks, at least a thumbs up.
Yeah, so whenever there is a time to do that, I can help with that. So just with the publishing process, because I'm familiar with how to do that and find the right journals and so on.
Yeah, but I also think, Jannik, that your work that you're contributing here is also interesting in your realm of research you're doing on the university. So I think there's certainly some topics that you can use. No?
Yeah. Obviously, yes. In some parts, definitely not what I currently do, but so I wouldn't publish anything myself, but I can help if anyone wants to publish something. I can certainly help with that. Because I think David's work is very interesting, actually, for the context of my work, but obviously I cannot author that because David did the work and not me. So, and I guess David knows how to publish stuff. So, yeah.
I'm also happy to help out, like Jannik, if anybody's wanting help with that, but also to collaborate as well. I mean, on papers. I mean, Jannik, if you felt that sort of the work I've been doing publishable, then be happy to write something with you.
Nice.
Yeah. On my side, I think it's very interesting for us to publish papers and things like this, because not only it validates what we are doing, but also that we expose it as a valid scientific process that we are doing.
Yeah.
So I think it's an amazing work if we can do that.
Yeah. Yes.
Especially if I mean, I don't know the history of what has been found with the stationeers, but if there's some data there that should, have some eyes look on it, peer-reviewed eyes, then I know on the website there are a few examples of some anomalous things that were seen over, I think, Texas or something by a stationeer. But that really predates me. But that kind of stuff definitely should get published, I would imagine.
Yeah, so the thing is, we have a lot of data from the old Sky360lib times. Thing is that are from stations that are so separated that you cannot do anything with it. It's a single point of, it's only videos actually, only from one station. And we have several other videos from stations, but single stations. So one in Houston, I think David, you produced a lot. Paul in France is producing a lot. But it's no correlation. That's hard for scientists to take a single point of a video and then correlate with something. What can you learn from just one video? You need extra data with it, and that was not at the time in place. So we just have these videos and no distance.
Okay,
yeah. Cool.
Oh, I'm sorry. I have some experience in publishing. Yeah, also, and so I would like to say that if one of the guys have camera and also already have some board of the radar board, future radar. If we need the paper somehow, of course, we can make a comparison between the video data and the basic radar data and with our equations, how to measure height and so on. So we will find a solution. But I think that for this point, for this moment, it's too early because we don't have any proven data and we must be sure. And after that, we can publish something. That's my opinion. And so you asked for some comments. That's my comment.
No, it's totally true. But you know, we do not talk about things that when they really happen. We'd like to talk things in advance. So even if the first paper will be written next year, it's still good to know that everyone who is developing here in the future keeps documents, keeps spreads, keeps experiment outcomes, whatever, makes documentation, keeps notes, because it can then, at the end of his work, go into a paper.
I think this is a good segue since you said documentation. I've got an update on documentation. Okay. So I know there was some work that I was doing on documentation. It got a little bit sidetracked by all of the stuff with the NLP, the natural language processing of the old dev videos. But since that has a process and it works and, you know, there's regular results, so I can now move on to something else. So with documentation and the documentation channel on the Discord, there were a couple of options that were thrown out. I ended up just standing up wiki.js pretty quickly on my own home lab, and that can be people can get access to that if we want to take a look at it and see if it's something that we actually want to use and put on a production server. Now I know this is being recorded, but that's not a big deal, I guess. I can give a quick presentation. I mean, how do you guys want to move forward? I can give a presentation of it quickly, or I can put the link and credentials, some kind of generic credentials for people to take a look. And then if we are in agreement to use it, then okay.
Hold on, Jacques. I would say your stuff, your topic, you want to present off record, right? You prefer?
I guess I prefer because it's my personal.
Yeah. Okay. I get it.
My home lab with my static IP and blah.
Yeah, absolutely. I get it. So we don't do this on the record. Definitely not.
I think it would be better if it was something under Richard's control, since he's like the main go-to person for everything. You know, have the wiki site set up under Richard. I think it would be better than having, you know, something randomly with one person here and another person there, because, you know, things happen.
This is not meant to live on my stuff. This is a demonstration. So for people to be able to see it and then to make a decision based off of, you know, do we want to use this? And then after that, we can move it to its permanent location. And I wouldn't want that on my, okay.
So, I want to add to this, it shall not be in my responsibility. We decided to, Michael, Mr. Santa Claus, is actually the one who has the most experience in creating documents during all his life, creating technical papers. So we made him the go-to guy for documentation. So if there's a wiki.js to be edited, then he shall do it. If he wants. Sorry, Michael.
Oh yeah, actually yes, and I did want to hook up with him about, you know, some of the other things he's put out there. I've just been kind of buried around the house here for the last, you know, couple of weeks, but you know, the plot is to connect with him and say, okay, what we've got going on, you know, because it looks better than what I was planning and doing. So I'm like, okay, let's do this. So, you know, but again, I would like to get a look at what he's got, you know, at his, you know, at his leisure.
Yeah. So before we go into your point, Jacques, you are muted, by the way. Any other topic? We're still on record. So any other topic we shall raise on record? Anyone who wants to demo something? Otherwise, I say we close earlier today. All right.